Hey Shooby Doodlers, how are you doing? Now today I'm going to talk about a book that was a huge influence on me when I was starting out. In fact, when I was at art college, one of my teachers who came once a week was a man called Colin McNaughton, who is a famous picture book illustrator and writer himself. And he looked at my work and he said to me, "You should be a children's book illustrator." And I didn't know there was such a job. And he made me go to the art college library, and they had a big collection of picture books, and I looked at them all, spent the whole day looking at them, and then I came across this one, and I had never seen this before, and this was around apparently in my childhood, and I'd never come across it. And I read this book, and it just changed something in me at the time. I thought, yeah, that's what I want to do. And I went back to Colin and I said, "You know what, this book?" And he said, "It's really famous." And I didn't know about it. And it was then that I realized that kind of all the various talents that I had, which had all been going off in all different directions, suddenly all kind of came together in this one art form. And then I sort of knew, this is me. It was kind of like coming home when I read this book. And it was only many years later I realised quite why it is such a good book. It's the most brilliantly designed, planned, thought out book ever, and I'm going to explain to you why. Okay, well, this was first published in 1963, so it's just kind of early sort of 1960s stuff when it was really still the 50s, so it's very advanced. And this white bit up here is just different. And up until then, children's picture books had looked very, very different. And this is amazing. White space. And just where the wild things are. Whereas before then, everything had been very formal. Everything had to be centered, and books had to look a certain kind of way. And then, so this is called a half-title page. And then this is the title page, and again the title page had never really gone over with illustrations here, and this is actually kind of telling a story. So you've got Max here and the wild things. It's kind of like going to a musical and it's the overture, and they play the music and they play the hit songs, just little snippets of it to get you whistling before the show starts. And again, look, this massive amount of white space and just this tiny little picture. And there's quite thin paper here, but can you see the next page coming here is bigger? And you can just see the next page underneath it, which gets bigger, and it gets bigger, and it gets bigger. And what's going on here? The night Max wore his wolf suit and made mischief of one kind and another, which is one of the great opening lines of literature, I think. His mother called him Wild Thing, and Max said, "I'll eat you up." So he was sent to bed without eating anything. And so he's sent to bed, and that night in Max's room a forest grew, and you see the picture is spreading out, and the forest is growing. And so he's going from this kind of reality into fantasy, because forests don't grow in rooms, really, do they? And the forest keeps growing and grew. You see the whole page, and all it is 2 words. And it grew, and it grew until his ceiling hung with vines, and the walls became the world all around. And the whole page has now become a fantasy, and you'll see that the bedroom has faded away into the background, and all the time it's the moon has stayed. The moon and Max have stayed a constant, and now this fantasy world starts pushing away the text. Ocean tumbled by with a private boat. It sails off through night and day, and he's quite happy sailing off on his own. In a week's almost to where the wild things are. And again, look, this picture is pushing the text out of the way, and now it's changed completely. And now that it's right across the page, but we still need room for text. He's come to where the wild things are. They roared their terrible roars. They gnashed their terrible teeth. They rolled their terrible eyes and showed their terrible claws. He doesn't look very impressed. And again, look, watch what happens with the picture. It keeps coming down. Max said, "Be still," and he came with the magic trick of staring into all their yellow eyes without blinking once. And they were frightened, and they called him the most wild thing of all. He's doing this kind of magic trick, mesmerizing them, and the moon is still there, a constant in all these pictures. And they made him king of all the wild things, and the picture is coming down, it's coming down. And now, cried Max, let the wild rumpus start. And this is the piece of genius. The picture now comes all the way down and completely takes over the page. And I think it is kind of like a stage performance, it's like a stage musical. Maurice Sendak kind of leads us on into this is the big dance number in the middle. And the thing about a picture book is that it doesn't take long to read, so it gets read again and again and again and again at bedtime, and it stops being a book. It starts to become a family thing, and each family, when they get to this page, will add their own thing, because it's like a script. You're given the script, and this is where you're allowed to do your own thing. And in our family, we used to jump around on the bed going humpa badunka dingy dingy nunka humpa humpa niki naki noo, and then we turn over the page, and they're still dancing and hanging around the trees. We go hinga bunga hunga donga hinga dingy bingy bong hinga hoo ha hee ha hoo, and they're still doing it. And I can't remember the last bit. It was rumba dimba humba dumba dinga 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 humba dumba dinga dinga ding dang doo. And we would be in fits of laughter, jumping around, and then we'd get back again. Max says stop. He sent the wild things off to bed. And from far away across the world, he smelled good things to eat. So he's bored, basically. And reality starts fading in again. And it's kind of like, the whole thing's like a temper tantrum. And this is where he's just gone completely wild. He's in his room, really, isn't he? He's going completely mad. And then he's, reality is coming back in. Reality starts sort of flooding back in. And, and if you've been in a temper, you're feeling that kind of a mood, really. And he says, no, I'm going home. And they say, please don't go, please don't go. They want to be wild, they want to be mad. But no, he's had enough of being wild and angry, and he wants to go home. And the picture's going up, and now it's receding, and he's facing the other direction. He's sailed back over a year and in and out of weeks and through a day until he gets back to his bedroom. And we're back to reality. It's come right the way across again. The picture has come over. We got text, we got the picture, we got reality. And the moon has actually changed, hasn't it? So it was a kind of a three-quarter moon or something before, so it's actually moved in time as well. It's not just a night time. And it was still hot. That's all he needs to say. No picture, end of story. Brilliant. So there you are. I hope you'll agree with me. It's a truly amazing book, and if you want to get copies yourself, I put Amazon links in the comments box below. And I know many people will probably put comments saying, have I seen the movie? And no, I haven't. This book is so firmly in my imagination. I didn't want to see anybody else's interpretation of it, really, because the pictures that I've seen just don't quite do it somehow. And it's that movie is somebody else has loved this book and they've got it in their head and they wanted to share that with the world. I've got my own idea of where the wild things are. I'd rather keep inside my head. Well, I hope you enjoyed that, and if you did, why not go and have a look at another one of my videos or try the mystery drawing. Make sure you're subscribed for new drawings every Monday and Friday. Check out my website shoorayner.com, and why not get my new book, Everyone Can Draw. In the meantime, keep drawing, practice, and I'll see you next time. You take care now. Bye bye.